Hi, this is Robyn Flans with Robyn Flans Drummer Interviews, and I'm here today with my co-host, Ed Eblin.
Hello, everybody.
So, I want to talk about an experience I had last weekend and address behavior off the bandstand. I've been a reporter for over 30 years, and I have simple, common respect for people from all walks of life. And I just feel like just because you're a celebrity, it doesn't make you any more special, and certainly doesn't give you the right to mistreat anybody on this planet.
That's right.
So, I mean, luckily in my 30 years, I've had very few negative incidents. I mean, I've interviewed, the biggest names from Paul McCartney to Tom Hanks. I mean, everybody in the world of music and TV and film. And, I mean, people generally know how to treat other people. I mean, those are the greats, and they know.
And it's always nice when it works out that way.
Yeah, and it generally does.
But sometimes. There was this one person this last weekend who didn't know how to do that, and I want to talk about it because it's not right. It's just not right. And so this person, his name is. Uh-oh. What does that mean?
Yeah, it is Dave Grohl.
Oh.
And, I mean, look, he really likes to come off as someone who's like this super cool, like the everyman kind of guy, someone who, would be your best bud, who's like really enlightened and just, not the kind of guy who would like be not cool. But it's obviously a facade, a media show. And it was just, I was at the Conejo Valley Days covering a story for the Ventura County Star. And I approached him. And as always, I'm extremely respectful. He was there with his kids. And I approached him and I said, "Hey, Dave, I told him who I was. I said, I'm Robyn Flans. I actually, interviewed you for Modern Drummer eons ago. And when you get settled, can I have just 5 minutes of your time?"
Right, but I'm just curious. He was at the Conejo Valley Days. That wasn't a Foo Fighters.
Oh, no,
right?
sorry. Yep. He was there for Chevy Metal, which is Taylor Hawkins' sort of cover band. Oh, and right. Dave is sort of like this, unofficial member. He's not in the band, but he came last year, and I covered it last year too. And I actually didn't bother Dave last year because he was out riding the rides with his kids.
Right. And
I thought, hey, he's out there with his kids riding the rides. I'm not going to approach him.
Right, being a good dad.
And I thought, that would be uncool of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured if I get him and ask him, he has the right to say to me, "You know what? I'm busy with my kids. I don't have time. I can't, I don't want to do it, or I will." And I'm respectful of either answer. So he said he would.
Okay.
So, you take the guy at his word.
Right.
And I said, "Great." So he goes off back there. I was in the backstage, and then there's the inner sanctum. So he went off into the inner sanctum with his kids. And then I stood by the security guard waiting. And so he came out with his kids. At one point, he looked at me. He holds his kid up and like got all defensive when he saw me. And he said, "Oh, I'm with my kitties. And I said, no, go be with your kids." And he goes off, comes back in. This happened twice.
And both times I went, no, go be with your kids. So he goes back in. Now, mind you, you got to understand something. I'm the only person there asking for his time. It's not like there's 12 reporters or even fans back there, because this was the backstage area. I was already in the backstage area. So I was it. I was the only press person, the only person, period.
Right, so there was no confusion on his part while you were there. You were going to conduct a 5-minute interview, and he agreed to that, and so you were back there waiting to
Correct.
Ah.
So so now Taylor comes out. Taylor was as sweet as pie. That was a no-brainer. He was great. He was wonderful. He gave me his, whatever. I only took a few minutes of his time because, this was, I understand that for them, this is a local gig. It is a sort of family thing. They do bring their kids. I get that. And I want to be respectful of that. So I don't take up too much of Taylor's time. And we did it last year. And so obviously he knows that I'm really cool. So he was very happy to give me his time again. And we did that, and that was great. And so I'm there waiting, and now it's getting really hot. The sweat's pouring down my face, pouring. I'm standing out in the sun. It's now an hour and a half. It's getting later and later. Yeah, an hour. Yeah, dig it. An hour and a half. So I'm watching backstage. There's like a crack from the backstage to the inner sanctum, an area that I can see into the inner sanctum. And, Grohl is back there. His kids aren't there. First of all, his two older kids are out playing on the rides, and his little kid must be with his, mom, with the mom. So Grohl's back there with his guitar, playing. He's just back there like for 45 minutes doing frickin' nothing, where he could have given me, 5 minutes many, many times.
Right, or at least told you he wasn't going to give you any time, and you could have went on your way, I guess.
Oh, many times over.
Wow.
So he comes out of the inner sanctum and walks, I'm standing right there by the doorway of the area into the backstage. He comes out into the backstage area for a couple of minutes, walks by me, looks straight at me, and laughs. Just looks at me and laughs. And it was a laugh as if to say, "You fucking idiot. Are you still here waiting for me?"
Right. I can't believe you fell for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think my mouth went wide open. I was so shocked that I actually, I said something to the security guard. The poor security guard didn't even know what to think. And I know he heard him laugh. It was so, if I were any other person, I would have been humiliated. Instead, I was just, I was shocked and furious. I just thought it was so unbelievably rude, so unkind, so outrageous. And I just stood there, and then he went back in, and about 10 minutes later, our eyes met again through the doorway of the inner sanctum and the backstage. And he was still standing there without kids, just with his guitar. Our eyes locked. And I said, "So Dave, 3 minutes? No 3 minutes? 3 minutes?" And he walked a couple of steps towards me and he said, "Well, I've had, my 3 kids with me, and, we're going to go on soon. And, I would do it, but, I've had all this going on." And I just looked at him and I said, "Cool." And he said, "Cool?" And I said, "Cool."
Wow. Well,
and I just turned on my heels and walked away.
Obviously not cool, and he knew what he was doing when he was walking by you, and if he laughed at you or made you feel like you're just an idiot for sitting here waiting on me, yeah, that's definitely not cool.
He knew it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
He absolutely knew that I wasn't cool with it because there was nothing cool in my voice.
What's it cost to be nice? Just to, if you can't do something or follow through with something, and you got somebody standing out in the hot weather waiting on you, and you're not really, wanting to do it, you should just tell them, let him take off, especially when it's a business-to-business deal, because you're a journalist, reporter in this business, and he's obviously a very successful musician, and I guess with some of that should come, a responsibility to be, keep your attitude in check, especially when it's business to business.
The bottom line is if he had just said to me at the get-go, today wouldn't be a good day for me. I'm here with my kids, and, I really would rather not. I'm really sorry. It just isn't a good day for me. I would have said, okay.
Yeah, that would have cleared everything up, and you could have been on your way and maybe rescheduled something later.
But, it's amazing that my 25-year-old son, Jamie Eblin, knows better than this man who has had a lot of experience being in the limelight. My son was so infuriated to hear this story. He said that he remembered a video that was circulating, a Dave Grohl video called "Advice on Being a Successful Musician," and it talked about being a badass on the bandstand. Mm-hmm. And what Jamie said is, it requires you to be being a successful musician requires much more of you than being a badass on the bandstand. It requires you to be a badass off the bandstand in a genuine human way, not with this sold-out, entitled attitude you seem to be flaunting these days. And I think that's really the bottom line. Look, he obviously, and this is something else someone else on Facebook said, he obviously never met Louis Bellson. Louis Bellson gave of his time to anybody who came up to him. Eddie Shaughnessy did the same thing.
Yeah, Eddie was great. I'll tell you this real quick because I was actually at this show at the Chateau de Ville in the mid-'70s, and Buddy Rich was playing, and my parents wanted to take me. My sister and I and my parents went. And I remember, I believe, I don't want to misrepresent this, but it was like one of the sax players in the band, and Buddy, because of who Buddy is and what a great, unbelievably talented drummer and all that. But he got into it with one of the sax players on the stage, and at the time, I don't know who the bass player's name was, but Buddy was so pissed at the sax player that he got off the drums and went and collected all the sheet music in the whole horn section and just threw it up in the air. And then, in front of a sold-out audience, there was a dinner theater in Warwick, Rhode Island, and looked at the bass player and goes, pick that up. You could stand to lose a few pounds. Yeah, that's a true story. And even back then, it's like, I don't know, is this how you have to act toward other people that are there to support you? Obviously, everybody in Buddy's band was great. It was a phenomenal concert. But oddly enough, that was the thing I took away from it more than the music.
You never told me that story.
No, but it sort of came back to me when you're talking about Louis Bellson, Eddie Shaughnessy. And I've got to see Louis a few times, too. But that was later when I moved out to Los Angeles. But back when I was living in New England, and Buddy was... God, I don't remember the name of the album. I don't know if it was Stick It or one of those, but he was touring in support of the album. And I'll just never... I couldn't at this point even tell you what songs they played, but I just remember, wow, how can you do that?
That's horrible.
And I don't... Like I said, and I guess thankfully so, but I don't remember the name of the bass player.
But you know what? Sometimes you learn more from that kind of negative example. I hate to say it, but you can learn so much from watching someone behave poorly. I mean, that's a terrible thing to say, but I bet you learned a lot that day.
I did learn a lot, and I've been in situations, because obviously, I'm a drummer and I'm still very active, but, you run into people like this, not even on the national, fame scale, but you're working small clubs and you've got people that come in, and I really do believe this more than any other player in the band. The drummer is always in the hot seat about tempos and feel, and if you've got 5 guys in the band, I guarantee you got 6 interpretations of tempo.
Wow.
That's the way it is, and you'll always turn around and look at the drummer. And I guess I applaud Dave's success with coming out from behind the drums and singing and leading a great band and everything, but this is just a weird thing when you agree to something and you got somebody else in the business that's there, and you agree to something and then you make a fool, or you try to make a fool out of them, and that's unfortunate. And I don't think people should do that. I wasn't brought up that way, and I think the world actually would be a better place in one little incident like this when you treat people with respect. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really all this comes down to. And
well,
it's unfortunate, but
yeah.
He's not the only one, I'm sure.
Oh, he's not. And we're going to take a pause for the cause, and I'm going to come back and tell everybody about the other one.
Uh-oh.
Bobby Colomby, that's right, drummer formerly of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, is going to be on the Robyn Flans Drummer Interview Show here on Spreaker.com/RFDI. That's going to be on May 25th at 2 p.m. It's going to be a Wednesday afternoon, and from 2 to 3 o'clock, you're going to be able to chat in your questions to Bobby, and Robyn will be sure that they get asked, and you get some answers. So again, May 25th with the incredible Bobby Colomby, 2 p.m. here on Spreaker.com/RFDI. And if for some reason you can't make the live show, the show will then be in an on-demand format, and you can certainly go to a website and pick it up later and listen to it at your convenience. So we got you covered either way. We don't want you to miss this. You're going to love it. Join us May 25th, 2 p.m.
And I'm back. And I'm back with quite a story. So, late 80s. And here's the other one. It's, I've been really lucky. There's only been really 2. I mean, the Grohl thing was a one shot, but this one... This one went on for months.
Months?
Months.
You sat in a fairground for months waiting for somebody to interview? Wow.
No. But this person was abusive to me for months. It just went on for months. So and the name is not going to surprise anybody. I think we've actually touched on it a little bit on Facebook at times, but nobody knows the story. It's Don Henley.
Oh no!
And really sadly so, because I loved Don's music, and I just was so excited to get to do this interview. I mean, so excited. And I think it was set up, I want to say Stan Lynch was helping set it up, because he ended up coming to the interview when it finally happened after months and months. But I think what happened was Stan gave me his home phone number and told Don to expect me to call. And I think the first call, Don couldn't talk, and he told me to call him back at a certain day, and he would set up the interview. So I wrote it on my calendar. I was living in Nashville at the time, and I put it on my calendar, and I called Don back on the exact day that he told me to call him. And I said, "Hi, Don. It's Robyn Flans." There's this pause. Oh, shit. Okay. I'm thinking, did I call the right person? Does he know who this is? Does he remember that he told me to call? I'm thinking all these things. Who answers a thing like that? I said, you told me to call on this today, and is this not a good day for you? He said, yeah, okay, well, I need you to call me back on the whatever, another day. I said, okay, I'll call you then. So I get off the phone. Well, this happened like 3 more times, okay? I swear to God, on my life, every single time I called, I got the same response. Once it was, oh, fuck.
Oh.
Yeah, I swear to you, every time I was met with an oh shit or an oh fuck. And the last time I called, which was so there were about 4 of these. So about the 5th time I called, now every time it was on the day he actually told me to call back. Call me a week from Tuesday. Call me a week from Monday. The last time, this is the best one. Hi, it's Robyn Flans. Oh, God, the thing that won't go away.
Ouch. Oh, that must have hurt.
So I looked down. I said, Don, I'll go away if you want me to. I mean, I didn't even know what to say anymore. So,
I don't know if we can say anything to that.
So, actually, these memories are so vivid to me. He actually said, hold on a second. I mean, something else was going on.
Go away, but I'm not done with you
yet.
yet.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
So, then he comes back. I said, seriously, Don, I'll go away if you want. No, it's okay. Let's figure this thing out finally. I said, yeah, let's please. So we make a date. So I decide I have to go into L.A. to do this interview. Now, yay, happy birthday. It's actually on my birthday, this interview.
Oh, there you go. You spend it with your loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So we do this interview, finally, at his house. Up in, I don't know, off of Mulholland, wherever it was. Beautiful house. Stan Lynch is there. Well, thank God, because he was a buffer. But the interview goes great. Well, I think so. I think it's great. We do it. Everything's great. He walks me out with his arm around me. I think everything is good. So...
Are you sure his arm was around you, or was it a headlock?
Yeah. So I said, see, that was painless. I mean, I can remember these things like it was yesterday. See, that was painless. Everything went well. It's good. It's wonderful. He's, and he's even a little bit joking with me. Yeah, that was good. It was painless. So I go home. I think, oh my God, thank God it's over. I go back to Nashville. I transcribe the interview. I write the interview. Everything is, I think, great. I'm so happy. Well, I finally get it all transcribed, all in order, all edited. This is the day of, it's just brand new computers and stuff. And I call Don up. There's no email. This is before email. So I call Don up. I say, Don, okay. Now, I don't know who negotiated this, but we gave him copy approval, which meant, he was going to get to see this article before it ever hit the light of day. Oh, God. So I called Don up. I said, Don, I'm putting the story into the mail. You're going to get it in a few days. I'm sending it from Nashville, but you're going to get it. And, I want you to be, to understand that you're going to be critical. I know that you are, but understand that these are the things that drummers like to know. Mm-hmm. And I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time. I mean, at the time, I think I had been working for Modern Drummer for maybe, 10, 12 years already.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, I kind of know what I'm doing. Trust me. You're going to have to trust me on this. So don't look at it too critically. But, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I was trying to be really upbeat. So he says to me, well, the interview is really shallow. And I'm going to have to really get it into shape. And I don't remember what else he said, but that I remember.
Yeah, well, obviously, I guess he thought he could do a better job. I don't know. I mean,
So I got off the phone, and I remember just falling apart at
Yeah,
my
sure.
little kitchen table in Nashville. I just started sobbing. It was just the culmination of all the abuse and all the hard work, and I had thought that we had gotten over the hump. I mean, I thought we had finally met and liked each other, and I just thought, well, I was wrong. He's just a mean son of a bitch.
Yeah, and it can be that way. I mean, I'm curious, but...
Well, it's not done.
No?
Wait.
Okay.
Oh, wait. It gets better. It even gets better.
It gets better?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it gets better. So...
Then Dave showed up and those two took off?
So I write him a letter along with the story copy, and I said, Don, look, I got off the phone moments ago, and I just was really hurt that you thought that the interview was shallow, and before we ever got together, it was really tough spending time, trying to get the interview together. It was, you were very hurtful, and I really was hoping that doing the interview was all going to be okay, and I've always respected your music and loved your artistry, and I just want you to trust that I know what I'm doing, and that I really feel that if you would just give this interview a chance, you would understand that this is what the drummers really want to read, and I know what I'm doing, and please step back from it and don't be so critical, and well,
give it a chance.
Yeah. So, shortly thereafter, what shows up but a letter from Mr. Henley. I'll read this to you. I still have it. I have his autograph. Dear Robyn, I am in receipt of your letter and the rough draft of the interview. I have come to the obvious conclusion that I cannot work with you. Consider this matter closed. Sincerely, Don Henley.
Wow. I guess there's nowhere to go from there.
So, the record company paid me. And Modern Drummer was without a Don Henley cover story.
Well, I just wanted to throw this out there, and maybe it's obvious to some, but I've always been curious, like when you have that kind of success and the trappings of success and the pressures too, but is it possible to have what everyone else perceives to be everything in the world and just be miserable? Is that even an option?
I keep looking back to that, and I wonder if he was like strung out on drugs back then. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, I don't know. I wish someone could tell me, because he was so mean, so horrible to me, and so cruel. And the record company actually told me, they said, don't feel bad. We all have letters like that from him. I mean, that's what they said to me. Every one of us has one.
Well, I guess there you go. So you were just another link in the chain, I guess. So that's what happened. It's unfortunate, because the truth of the matter is, the Eagles, Don Henley, I remember, oh God, it was so many years ago now, but the first time I'd ever heard Wasted Time. I mean, that was, and I think I hesitate to say that was on 8-track, probably cassette more than anything else. But man, just so many great tunes, so many. You know how it is when you connect with a writer, singer.
Ed, I loved them.
Me too. Yeah.
And that's the thing, when this stuff happens, and thank God, it hasn't happened too often. But when this stuff happens, it really tarnishes for me the music.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it. Luckily, I mean, I wasn't vested in the Foo Fighters, but I was vested in the Eagles, and just a little quick postscript on the Beatles right before I interviewed Ringo. I was really worried that something was going to happen to tarnish the Beatles, because he had walked out on an interview with Barbara Walters
It was right after John Lennon was assassinated. And he had actually walked out in the middle of an interview with her. And as I was setting up the interview with him for Modern Drummer back right around, well, it was 1980, and it was for the 1981 cover story. And I showed up to his rented house in Beverly Hills twice when he didn't come down to do the interview. And I was petrified that it was going to ruin the music for me. I mean, the Beatles were it for me.
Yeah, and not only that, but just to go back a minute to, the behavioral thing when you're in the public eye like that, but when you're especially working in a band, the Eagles or the Foo Fighters or Chevy Metal or any of those guys, that behavior sort of gets spread out in people's perception of the entire band, which obviously in the case of the Chevy Metal, the situation was that Taylor Hawkins is a great guy, he's a great drummer. And, so's Dave Grohl, talented and everything. But, I've been in those situations, too, where if someone is acting out of sorts or badly, the blame gets pretty global in no time flat.
Yeah.
You're there. You're guilt by association. That's what happens.
And for all I know, Taylor overcompensates for Dave because he knows that he's an asshole. I don't know. Because Taylor really... he came out several times to the, backstage area to make sure everybody was, he seemed to be making sure everybody was being taken care of. So,
yeah. No, I have a, I work at a place here locally that Taylor Hawkins has showed up at. Just a guy hanging out and being cool and talking drums and just, normal sort of thing. And, it doesn't surprise me at all that Taylor would, be that way or want to do something to offset, whatever negative experience. But it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, it's like you feel like you got singled out for who knows what reason. And
I honestly don't think, if anybody's going to say, he might have been having a bad day, I'm going to counter that. I'm going to say I don't believe so. And there were some comments on Facebook that lead me to believe that this is who maybe he wasn't all along, but who he's become. People have said that they've had association with him and he hasn't been such a nice guy. And also, I just don't believe that somebody who can laugh at somebody like that was just having a bad day.
Yeah, and just to be self-indulgent for a minute, but it wasn't too long ago, just a few months ago, I got to do a TV show in Hollywood, which was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work, and the day started basically at 10 in the morning and ended a little after 10:30 or 11 at night. And I remember pouring sweat and just, you give everything, you do the best job you can do, and with everything considered, everything went great. But I came off the stage, and the only way to get to the dressing room, of course, is walk through the crowd of people that was there. And before I got probably 3 feet away from the staircase, I had a woman jump out at me and goes, "Hey!" And I'm like, okay, you be nice, you go change your clothes, and, you continue on. She goes, "Can you take a picture of me and my friends?" So I'm like, that's an odd one. And I guess, if I wanted to go, "Hey, look, I just got done work and I'm out of here." But it's like, and as it turns out, I didn't know this at the time, but she was a really good friend of the family, of the singer that I was working with, and I wouldn't have taken any other approach anyway. But it's an odd thing, and you're put on the spot sometimes. But in Dave's case, I guess he just sort of did what he did, and who knows if there's a reason in his mind. But yeah, be cool, man. It's free.
Yeah, we're all on this planet together. And I just got to tell you, that's always been my philosophy, and it will always be my philosophy. We are all here, and we're all one, and, I just don't believe anybody's better than anybody else.
Oh, me either. I totally agree with that statement. I don't care what you do for a living and what your public profile is.
So, that said, let's all treat each other with kindness.
You get by with a little help from your friends.
Yeah. Thanks,
right.
Ringo.
That's right. So will that do it? Was there anything
I
else?
think that's it.
Well, you want to promo what's coming up, or is this a
Yes,
good time to?
we can promo what's coming up. So thank you, everybody, for listening to Robyn Flans Drummer Interviews and my rant for today. And please, please stay tuned and check out next week on Wednesday, May 25th, my interview with the great Bobby Colomby at 2 o'clock
right.
Pacific Standard Time at Spreaker.com/RFDI.
Well, that sounds great. All right, we'll play this promo going out, and I guess see everybody on the 25th at 2 p.m. with Bobby Colomby.
Yeah.
Bobby Colomby, that's right, drummer formerly of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, is going to be on the Robyn Flans Drummer Interview Show here on Spreaker.com/RFDI. That's going to be on May 25th at 2 p.m. It's going to be a Wednesday afternoon, and from 2 to 3 o'clock, you're going to be able to chat in your questions to Bobby, and Robyn will be sure that they get asked, and you get some answers. So again, May 25th with the incredible Bobby Colomby, 2 p.m. here on Spreaker.com/RFDI. And if for some reason you can't make the live show, the show will then be in an on-demand format, and you can certainly go to our website and pick it up later and listen to it at your convenience. So we got you covered either way. We don't want you to miss this. You're going to love it. Join us May 25th, 2 p.m.